Perfect. Hi, everybody. My name is Bob Griffin. I'm the Dean of the College of Emergency Preparedness, Homeland Security, and Cybersecurity. Just give us 1 second while we switch over to our slide deck. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. Welcome, and let me start by congratulating everybody on the call and welcome you to the University at Albany. The congratulations is for your acceptance to a really fantastic university, and congratulations also to you and your family for a reflection of the success that you have had in your academic careers. It's no small feat. So I welcome you all, and let me sort of lay out what we're going to do. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the college and what sort of makes us different from a lot of other schools. But at the same time, I have a whole set of staff and faculty that are behind the scenes, and if you have any questions at all right now, you can feel free to start to put them into the question and answer area that is there on the Zoom bar. So put your questions in now, and the faculty and staff are preparing to talk you through them. And then at the end, if there are other questions that are still outstanding, I'll come back to them and see if I can answer them. So if you're paying any attention to the news right now, and I know just about everybody is, it's almost impossible not to hear about CEHC and the work that UAlbany is doing as a university to deal with the current COVID crisis. Whether it's our amazing faculty and staff that are working with our 3D Maker space in the 3D Maker community to build personal protective gear for our frontline human health and human services employees, particularly those in the hospitals and some of the care centers, whether it's our faculty who are experts in the field of emergency preparedness and homeland security, who are being used as subject matter experts in the press, or whether it's our students who are actively involved in helping in the response, doing things like monitoring social media on behalf of the State Emergency Operations Center. CEHC is forefront in helping the state of New York deal with the COVID crisis. And this is going to be a theme that you're going to hear from me about what makes CEHC different, is that in addition to an exceptional academic program, you have the opportunity to have some hands-on experiential learning, and that is really critical to your future success. Mike, go ahead and next slide. So if you are interested in not just getting a really exceptional education, but if you're interested in transforming the world and really making a difference, then this is the right school for you. And let me lay out why that is. Go ahead, Mike. Why now? When the College of Emergency Preparedness was proposed in 2015 by Governor Cuomo, he had a vision of a school that would be very hands-on, that our students and our graduates would come out and be prepared to fundamentally change how the state and our local communities, in fact, the nation and the world, would be able to prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters. The governor had the foresight to see that this was a need, and that's where the genesis for the school was founded. Because we're so new, we're actually able to work into our curricula in school a very, very different approach to how we handle our programs. And let's get into that for a little bit. We are the first of its kind college in the nation that looks at not only all three elements of emergency preparedness, homeland security, and cybersecurity together, but we also have an exceptional program in applied technologies and informatics and information sciences, and that whole nexus between the data sciences and the big data opportunities that you see in the whole Internet of Things, when you start to think about interconnected devices and evolving technologies, it's going to be critical to the field of emergency management. But if you are interested in applied technologies, the idea of how do you use UAVs and drones, how will robotics change how the fields of particularly first responder communities are going to be impacted. How you can start to think about the use of social media, then this really is the right school for you. In addition to these strengths, one of the advantages that you have of being a member of CEHC is that we also have both full and partial online options. One of the things that we've recognized is that your schedules and your lives are very, very busy. So the idea of being able to both take in-person classes as well as online and remote learning is really important, because it gives you opportunities to think about a lot of other things that you can do in your college experience. Go ahead, Mike. In addition, what we've done is that we've designed a program that is easy for you to start to think about not only a bachelor's degree, but a master's degree. And I know I run the risk of sort of overwhelming you as you start to think about your choices and where you want to go to school. But one of the things I would urge you to do, and certainly have conversation with your parents or with your family members, is now is a really good time to start to think about not only your bachelor's degree, but the potential for a master's degree. And what we've done is that we've actually created a number of programs that we call a 4-1. Basically, in a 5-year period, you would graduate with both a bachelor's and master's degree. And what that does, and what we intended to do, was allow you to be able to continue on right after your bachelor's program, but also it saves you a considerable amount of money. So as you start to think about your college career, early on, start to think about whether you're going to be interested in a master's program. We have an exceptional bachelor's program, and we have a really strong offering in our master's program, and we're bringing on more master's degrees and graduate programs frankly, as quickly as we can. In addition to that, we also have a PhD program, but I know that is a little bit of a stretch. But we're a full college offering a full array of degrees. If you come to CEHC, go ahead, Mike. There's a couple of really important differences. One of part of what makes us different is that we have an expectation that you're going to learn not just in the classroom, but you're going to be expected to take that learning and bring it to the field. We want you to get out into the field and start to practice what you're learning in the classroom. We think it's incredibly important for you to be able to go out and learn by doing. So that idea of being able to take the theory that our amazing faculty is teaching you and seeing how it actually works in the field, it gives you a leg up on a lot of other programs that are only looking at the theory of emergency management or cybersecurity. In addition, what this gives you is it gives you the ability to start to round out your professional resume. So when you start to think about applying for jobs, when you start to think about life after the university, you can start to articulate a hands-on skill set that is truly complementary of the work that you're doing in the classroom. But that's not all. Can we go to the next slide, please? We also learn by experimenting, and we have I think some of the coolest labs around. So whether it's our drone lab, and you're going to hear about this in a little bit, whether it's our 3D makerspace, whether it's our gaming arena, we really have thought differently about the labs and access to the labs for our students. The same way I said, I want you to go out and get your hands dirty. I want you to come into the lab and I want you to tinker. I want you to learn by doing. So it's the same way we're talking about exercise, is that experimentation is critically important. I'm going to talk to you about our new facility as well, because when that comes online, we've designed a number of new laboratories that are going to give us some really world-class capacities. You know, and if you come to CEHC, you're going to deal with a group of, I think it's one of the finest faculties in the country. A couple of comments for you to think about as you're making your choices. Who's going to be teaching my classes? As an undergraduate, will I be taught by our tenure track faculty? Will I be taught by adjuncts? Will I be taught by graduate students? And I can tell you that in CEHC, all of us, both staff and faculty teach, and we teach undergraduate and graduate students. For example, while I'm the dean, I also teach the living learning community for CEHC. So I think that's really important, that as you start to think about the choices you have, you really have to ask that question about who's going to be in front of me. In addition, what we've done is that we've created a faculty that crosses the line between really exceptional researchers. We have professors of practice. We have adjuncts who are coming to us who are professionals in the field. We're bringing you subject matter experts to put in front of you. And that's really critically important, because that's the learning that you're going to get from people who are actually operational in the field. And that's invaluable for you as a student to get those stories, to really understand what it takes to be successful in the field. Go ahead, Mike. But in addition to our amazing faculty, we bring a host of other experts to the college. Whether it's the former head of the Customs and Border Protection, whether it was the former head of the NSA, we're bringing you subject matter, frankly, global experts for you to listen to, have an opportunity to interact with and ask questions, because again, this starts to round out your understanding of what it means to be successful in the field. And one of the nice things about the growth and certainly the growing reputation of CEHC is we have a whole host of subject matter experts, both within other elements of UAlbany, but outside, who are leaders in government and business, who are very active and willing to participate with us. Go ahead, Mike. In addition, it's not just about the faculty and staff and speakers. You're going to learn as much from your peers as you do from anybody. But there are a couple of elements that I want to toss at you. One is that it's not just learning from your peers. It's also teaching you and teaching you to learn how to learn. You've heard me say that before, because there are some fundamental differences that you're going to experience from life at a university versus life in a high school. But equally important to us is learning how to lead. One of the things I would absolutely urge you to do, whether you come to Albany or whether you go to a different school, is make sure you carve out time to be involved in student groups and organizations. So whether you want to be involved in the esports team, or whether you want to be involved in the International Association of Emergency Managers, whether you want to be involved in the 5-quad volunteer ambulance service, whether you want to be involved in the student STEP program that looks at issues of combating human trafficking, whether you want to be part of the cyber defense organizations, take some time, because one of the things you want to do is that you want to start to build your professional network, and your professional network is not going to be just the amazing faculty that I talked about, amazing staff. It's going to be your peers. So that idea of getting involved beyond just your classroom responsibilities is something I certainly would urge you to do. Go ahead, Mike. So we're special for a number of reasons, but we're also special because we care, and we're different. Whether it's recognition of exceptional academic performance in our Dean's Breakfast, a Dean's List breakfast. So if you make the Dean's List, and I certainly hope all of you will, we celebrate that. We celebrate that with you and the faculty, and the faculty and I actually serve you breakfast as a big thumbs up on everything that you've done. And frankly, I think that's one of the I think it's one of the best events of each semester. And it's really interesting is that your peers actively compete to make sure that they are part of that process. Whether it's the design of your class pin, and the idea of being able to be clearly delineated as part of CEHC at the UAlbany campus, whether it's recognition of your graduating class, and I know that seems far away, but it really isn't. We are building the type of traditions that really make for not just a great college, but a collegial college, and one that you want to stay involved in. And that's little things. It's not just academics. It's also things like our game night, where we actually have our students and staff and faculty will get on and play games, or whether it's the town halls that we've been holding every Monday night, which I know you've been invited to, where we're bringing subject matter experts to you to talk about what is happening in the world today. In fact, on last Monday night, we had an amazing discussion about the impact on the economy after we were able to give an update on COVID from School of Public Health. So you start to see all of these traditions that are woven into the fabric of this college. It's a college, frankly, that people like to be at. And that's really important, because you got to like the people that you're going to be at school with. Go ahead, Mike. The other thing that makes us special is we're moving into a new home, and you will be part of that move. Our new building is going to be the largest. It's the largest academic standalone building on campus. And if you've been on campus, and I certainly invite you to come to campus as soon as we're able to travel again. Our new home, called eTech, is going to provide us with world-class capacity. And I say world-class because here's some of the things that we're going to be able to do. In addition to an expanded makerspace, we have laboratories that are going to be standing emergency operations centers. So you actually learn how to operate an emergency operations center. We have a lab that's going to be dedicated to the intelligence analysis area. We have lab space that's going to be dedicated to cybersecurity and the ability to start to do red teaming and blue teaming. That means trying to hack and also trying to protect from cybersecurity threats and abilities. This is going to be an amazing facility. So again, you're going to be learning from practitioners and amazing research faculty. You're going to be surrounded by incredible students, and you're going to have some of the best facilities in the world, frankly, for teaching and learning in this environment. In addition to that, we're co-locating with some really interesting partners. So the atmospherics department is actually going to be co-located in the building with us. The national weather for this entire region is going to be headquartered in this building. And again, this is the commitment we have to bringing together practitioners, academics, and the business community, because there's also an area of the building that's going to be dedicated to bringing co-researchers from business in to work with you and with us. And again, I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. You got to ask yourself the question, who's going to be teaching me? I've answered that, but here's the other piece. We really promote and push not only the hands-on experiential learning element, but this idea of you being involved in research. In some other schools, sometimes that type of research is limited more towards the graduate students. Not here. We prioritize that with our undergraduate students. And frankly, as we start to grow our graduate students, we're going to be intertwining that research. But again, that's a capacity that I think is really important and sets us apart. Go ahead, Mike. I've talked to you in a lot of ways about what makes CEHC different, and frankly, we're a family, and we would like you to be part of our family, and that means a couple of things. One is obviously would love for you to come to the University at Albany and enroll in CEHC. But we also want your families to be part of our family. I think it's critically important that your families remain part of your success, both academically and personally. And one of the things that I think is really important, and something that I know I valued when my children, my sons were at school, is the idea of families understanding what's going on with the college, and the idea of how do we celebrate together. I talked to you about the Dean's List breakfast. I think one of the nicest thing is when students are actually able to bring their parents, and we really support that. We support the idea of the family approach to graduation. Family is so critically important. That network is so critically important, because these are folks that you want to lean on, and they're going to be critical to your success in the future. Go ahead, Mike. So a couple things that I would urge you to do, okay? Take a look at the playlist. You saw some of our YouTube clips that show you the amazing work we did in Puerto Rico, our students did in Puerto Rico after the hurricane. It's going to show you how our labs are operating, whether it's our drone lab or our 3D makerspace. And honestly, it's kind of hard not to get choked up when you look at how some of our faculty have been able to teach their students how to make things like the prosthetic hands with 3D printing for children, which allows them to continue to have access to prosthetics, because they're very expensive normally, and kids grow so fast that they're growing out of them. So that's that type of nexus of doing good while you're doing well, but also taking the theory and really applying it to real world problems. So take a look at what's on YouTube. Take a look at what you see on our Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and social media sites. And if you're interested, and I certainly urge you to take a look at what we've done with our town halls, because again, this should all give you a sense of the unvarnished truth about how we operate. Go ahead, Mike. I also think it's it's important you hear from the dean, but truly, I think it's more important that you hear from your peers and the faculty. And for the next few minutes, I'd really like to turn it over to a couple of amazing students who are the type of students that we're looking for. So Suzanne, if you don't mind starting, I really appreciate you being here and taking time off and taking time out of your day to be with us. And go ahead. I know you're going to talk about some of the amazing things that you've done in lab, but I also want you to just say a couple of words about your double majors and your thoughts on the program. Go ahead.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Suzanne, and I'm from Harlem, New York. I'm an EHC major, specializing in cybersecurity and double majoring, and also criminal justice with a minor in Africana Studies. I'm a senior at the university who's supposed to be graduating this semester, but coronavirus, so we're hanging in here. But my experience at the university has been different with EHC as a major, because I was here when the college started. So I've been in this program since I was a freshman, and I've seen how it's evolved over the years, from training hours being available online as more vastly as more options, as students vocalize how much they need more options, to their internship programs, which I have interned in the I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Makerspace and Drone Lab, where I built a robot for the first time last year. I have competed for the college in the Cyber 912 competition in New York City against other top-level universities about cyber policy. I actually work as a Microsoft technical support technician for Zone's infrastructure, with the experiences and knowledge I've learned at the university, and that's without graduating yet. So as a double major, I've had, like the dean said, this is a family. So with the help of Annie and my professor, with my academic professor, academic advisor, I was able to craft a program that was specifically worked for me, that worked hand in hand with EHC. So a lot of my classes did double count in both majors, and I was allowed to apply different things in different areas that counted for both my majors. So it was a lot to take in, and I did have to take a summer class, but that was just because I wanted to do better and wanted to push myself. With the experiences, I've been on Dean's List a couple times, so I have been invited to the breakfasts. I do go to a lot of the admissions events, and I do makerspace events. So I have been a part of the student success, and I do encourage students to get involved because I do work for student engagement. So we do want to see you out there. And I can say it has greatly enhanced my experience because I have a lot of relationships with professor and faculty and staff that have made my experience at the university better.
Suzanne, thank you so much, you've been exceptional. And one of the points that I think is really important to take to heart is the University of Albany is going to be a potential feast for you, but sometimes there's so many options that you can get analysis paralysis and not take advantage of everything that's available. So make sure you remember all of the things that you could potentially do. Remember this conversation, but especially remember what Suzanne says. Another student I'd like to introduce to you is Ken Rivera. Ken, do you want to make a few comments? And again, thank you to you as well for being here and taking your time.
Thank you very much for having me. I guess like I agree a lot with what Suzanne said. I feel like for me personally, when I first came to the university, I didn't really know what I was gonna do or how I was gonna go about, using my time wisely. And I was very shy, very intimidated by, my whole college experience when I first arrived. So I just started out taking out maybe like my first informatics class was the intro class. And when I took it, I just kind of like, I found myself really enjoying what I was learning about, just taking that extra time to just like, after I go back to my dorm, just, read about what I wrote down for assignments, or just take that extra time to research it. And I grew to find that this is something I was interested in pursuing. And I took more classes, and eventually I changed my major to informatics. And then I realized I can also double major in EHC as well. And I found that the class is very similar in what I like to do. So I realized that's something I just wanted to keep pursuing. And as I go into my third year now, I'm a junior, I realized that I don't regret my decision. In fact, I'm happy I chose the college I did. I loved every second of it. I enjoyed my time here. And I agree that, you definitely should be very active in school. My freshman year, I wasn't as much. And since then, I've taken the extra steps to be active in school, and I can definitely see how much it's improved me, how much it's changed me as an individual. And just being a part of that gives you the opportunity to learn more things about not only the university, but the opportunities they offer as well. I've gotten several internships because of it. I've gotten to learn things that I never would have thought I'd learn about. I've got to be part of trainings that, I wouldn't have gotten to if it wasn't for, the training, our opportunities that the school offers into locations that I didn't think I would be. So it definitely is a great experience, and I definitely recommend it 100%.
And thank you so much, both of you, for your time. As you listen to this and you start to think about, oh, okay, what am I going to do in college? I hope you remember what you heard from Suzanne and Kenneth. It's really important because I hope you can envision yourself in a couple of years being the ones that are speaking to you. I mean, the skill sets and what makes me really proud is to watch how much students can grow and evolve through their time at the university. And again, for both of you, thank you for your time being here. I'd also like to give you an opportunity to hear from some of our faculty. And if, there we go. First up, if I could introduce Dr. Alex Greer, and you can see his areas of expertise. And you also find that he's often one of the widely quoted subject matter experts dealing with emergency preparedness and hazards. Dr. Greer, would you like to say a few words? And thank you for you being here as well.
Yeah, thank you, Dean Griffin, for the introduction. So I'm Dr. Alex Greer. I'm an assistant professor here in CHC. I teach classes like research methods, qualitative approaches, leadership and ethics, and I primarily study how people adjust in the wake of hazards in response to disasters. So events like hurricanes, earthquakes, COVID-19 is something I'm exploring right now. And a lot of times I'm asking how people decide where they want to live after a hazard event, but I'm also really interested in how people decide how to live with the hazards they face. So for instance, do you do something like purchase insurance? Do you keep 3 days of food and water on hand? Do you install earthquake latches? Do you have an evacuation plan? How is your evacuation plan affected by COVID-19? I'm really interested in those decision-making processes. And what I want to say to you guys that are kind of considering the college is that I think our college is special for a number of reasons. But a few, just in a list, is it's a highly relevant place to be. So we're working on these real-world problems like COVID-19 and the severe weather that just impacted the South. These kind of issues that people are dealing with daily. And what this translates to is a feeling that your work is relevant. And so when you talk to people about what you do and what you study, you can really bring that home and people understand that and they see why it's important. This also leads to a lot of job opportunities and really interesting ones that can keep you on your toes. So I think that's a benefit. The second thing I'd say is that we're special because of the people that we have. As Dean Griffin mentioned, we have a mix of faculty and staff that have a lot of practical experience, but we also have a lot of traditional researchers too that have a lot of connections in industry and in graduate schools. So give you that kind of bringing home the ideas that we're facing, but also give the connections to the next level. That's the direction you want to go. The other thing that we have that's special for the people is we have a really diverse student body that brings a lot of practical experiences and ideas to the classroom. Every time I teach, particularly with leadership and ethics, I'm always challenged by the students and they always bring really great perspectives. So I think you'll be learning a lot from the faculty, but you'll also be learning a lot from your peers. And so I think that's something else that's really special about our college. If you have any questions for me, you can definitely find contact information on the CHC website, and I hope to see you all in classes soon.
Great, thank you so much, Dr. Greer. I'd like to, it's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Carol Ann Germain. And Dr. Germain, could you talk a little bit about your area of expertise?
Okay, so welcome. Good to see you guys. CEHC, I think one of the things that Dean Griffin has talked about and has been mentioned by many of the presenters is the idea of family. So you have some connection. My areas of expertise, so if you needed to come and ask me questions, which is something that we really welcome, that I don't want you to be shy about, and you shouldn't be shy with any of our faculty. I work with web usability. And the idea of web usability is that how are people using web resources? Can they access them? We look at accessibility. Does this meet the needs of lots of different people? We just mentioned the idea of diversity. We think of those diverse populations, and it's really, really important. I also do a lot with information retrieval, and so in teaching some of the entry-level courses that you're going to be in, I teach you how to access information, because you're going to need that information. A lot of times it's research in doing your research, finding out what other people have done and using that to back up your ideas and your arguments, okay? Dean Griffin planted the seed of a 4-1 program. You don't have to be in a 4-1 program, but it's really good to have those seeds and start thinking about it now. I teach as I say, the introduction to a lot of the informatics early courses, but I also teach some of the graduate courses. So you've got that kind of overlap. You're going to see me kind of bookend that in lots of ways. As he says, it's like family. You can come and ask. You have lots of experts in this program. Please take advantage of that, because it's really, really important. You have lots of opportunities. Sometimes, especially when we're starting out, you may think that this university is really big, but think of it as your family. You may have an extended family, but you have with CEHC close people who are experts in the area, and they can really help guide you in taking advantage of those opportunities, whether those opportunities are doing the study abroad, going on to graduate school, or choosing, where you're going to go in a job, okay? Because if your internships, many of our students get internships, which actually leads into occupation that they're going to be in after you graduate from school. And in informatics, there's so many opportunities, whether you end up deciding to work for a social media outlet, something like Instagram. People in informatics are going to be looking at jobs in those areas. Well, we have lots of students who end up working for search engines like Google and lots of large databases, research databases, so and network companies. So there's so many opportunities that maybe you don't think of right now, but they're going to be out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Germain. And let me just sort of put a finer point on a couple of things, a couple of the comments that were just raised to you. The first is when you start to think about data and databases, that also is getting you into the question of big data, but it's also the nexus into the intelligence analysis and the intelligence community. And that is one of the master's degrees that we offered. So you start to see this really interesting crossover, but the world is moving towards a connected, interconnected world where data and understanding data becomes critically important. The other point that I think is really, really important, and no matter where you go, UAlbany can be a big place. What we try to do is we try to make it small. We try to give you all of the benefits of a big university, but with a community of a very tight-knit group of family. And again, for instance, the Living Learning Community is a really good example of this that I teach, and certainly I hope you would all consider to look at that, where you would all be on the same floor, you'd be in the same classes. It's this idea of how do you make your big university small, and as we start to think about technology, our next speaker is Professor Lazinski, who is knee-deep in 3D printing, and has done an absolutely amazing job in bringing personal protective gear to our health community. So I really need to recognize the work that he is doing right now, along with our Vice Dean, Jennifer Goodall, and Professor Dr. Berg. So Professor, could you say a few words about your areas?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Griffin. I think the idea of family is very important, and that idea of students, of faculty, of staff, a community of practitioners. And so looking at what we're doing with PPE and 3D printing, there was a infrastructure in place developed by our leadership, by our deans, and developed in coordination with our faculty, our staff, and our students, that we have a makerspace. And so not only do we have a makerspace with 3D printers and laser cutters and hardware and software, we have a philosophy of being able to apply these technologies. And in this case with PPE, I have a prototype of one of the designs here that we are sending out to first responders throughout the region. We're able to move quickly, and we're able to utilize that technology in meaningful ways. And also being part of a team. So myself in coordination with our Vice Dean and Dr. Berg and other faculty and staff and students, the idea that we look at problems from different perspectives, we have different backgrounds, the interdisciplinary nature of us being able to come together very rapidly, that's really a strength, and that's really a core of who we are as a college. It makes my work incredibly, I'm just honored to come to work every day. I'm excited, and I can't wait to apply what we're doing with our work together. As the dean mentioned, it's not just the graduate students have access to the lab or some faculty, or really we have an open and inclusive environment where, as a freshman, you will have the opportunity right out of the get-go, so to speak, to work with these technologies. Whether that's in our makerspace, whether that's in our drone lab where you can come and fly and work with drones and robots alongside with first responders and folks that we bring in for training and workshops, people in the field, as well as what we're doing with esports and gaming. This is a very exciting area for us. We've launched a full team of over 100 students for the university. We've won a championship. We play in some of the biggest games in the world. world. We have an amazing community, which we're also looking to not only play the games and compete, against 60 other schools throughout the country, but also look at how those game development, game design, training, and simulation, the same engine that powers Fortnite, for example, the Unreal Engine, or if you're looking at Unity as an engine, those are the same engines and software platforms that power, simulations, that power virtual reality, augmented reality. And so those are some of the things we look at. I'm in the informatics program, and then some of the ways that we look at the global perspective as a college. So what I would say is, if you're interested in prototyping, if you're interested in experimentation, if you're interested in technology, and you have your ear to the ground and what's happening, around the world, this is really going to be a great place where we understand that and we empower you to, utilize those technologies and that information to make a difference.
Great. Thank you so much for those comments, and let me just add a couple of points on that. In many respects, we're inverse of a lot of other programs. We actually try to bring as many resources to our freshmen as we do our graduate students. So whether it's the LLC I spoke of, or whether it's the freshman seminar, or whether it's some of our one credit courses that we're offering to give you an introduction to things like web mapping or biometrics, these are an approach that are designed to introduce you to some of these really cutting edge concepts, and frankly, make it easier for you to get into the groove for your university career. And that's really important. It's not just I, the faculty and I really believe strongly that we don't want to throw you into the deep end of the pool and say swim. What we really want to do is work with you so that you can develop the skills and abilities to be successful at the university. But frankly, these are the skills that you're going to take to your next step, whether it's graduate school or whether it's the workforce. And that is really, really important. As I said, we are a family, and I would be remiss if I didn't recognize that sort of the guy that runs these programs, that runs the technical aspects of a lot of what we're doing, Matt Tyler. It's his birthday today. So, take a minute and everybody wish Matt a happy birthday and thank you for all that you do. Let me sort of sum it up this way before I see if there's any before I see whether there's any outstanding questions. We're different. CEHC is different. And if you are interested in making a difference in your community, if you are the type of person who likes to learn, but also likes to have the hands-on elements, so you learn through experiential learning, this is the place for you. This is the place that you can come and you can see your own personal development, and frankly would love to have you as part of our family, and we certainly hope that we see you here in the fall. So with that said, I'm going to see if there's any outstanding questions that are left, and if not, I thank you for being here. It's a little awkward. I appreciate it. I really would love to have an opportunity to show you this amazing campus and the amazing students that we have. This is the next best thing, but this is what we do. This is Plan B. Okay, Plan A didn't work. Plan B is working great, and this is also part of the spirit of the college, is that we're adaptable and will continue to adapt. So thank you for being here. Mike, are there any outstanding questions that I or any of the panelists could answer?
So they're outstanding. There have been a couple, but I just want folks to be aware, if you're looking on, we have had a whole bunch, and we thank you for a lot of the questions, close to 30, I think. And we have a small army of folks on our team and in our family who have been answering them, in many cases, multiple answers. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, please do look over into the Q&A, and you can see some of the questions that are there. One that just popped in, you can keep adding more as we wrap up. One that did just pop in were career services related to this field.
So our students are are going to a whole spread of different jobs after they graduate. We're placing students in federal government, particularly in sort of the three-letter agencies, including the FBI and CIA intelligence agencies. We're putting a lot of students are getting employed by state government, particularly in the emergency management area, and in local governments, and everything from NYPD to local emergency management organizations. That's one side of it. We're also placing a number of students in the tech industry. So places like Google and Facebook, but a lot of places, but a lot of students are going to startups as well, and they're going to technology startups. So we have students who have been involved in our drone lab that are going to work for companies that deal with drones, including DJI. And we also have amazing students that have used their skills so well that they've been picked up by companies like Sikorsky and the helicopter industry. So it runs the gamut from social media to data to libraries to emergency preparedness, from government and private industry. Candidly, and I don't want to sound like I'm making light of the terrible situation with COVID, but the COVID situation just shows the value of this degree. And in many respects, I could rename this the College of Full Employment Opportunities, because your skill sets coming out are going to be critical as our country and as our communities figure out how to deal with the problem of pandemic, and those are the opportunities that we provide you.
Dean Griffin, another question. Folks are wondering what is your background and experience?
So my background is I started out in local government, and I moved into fire and rescue. I was a fire chief in a large county in Northern Virginia, and I was part of the response into the Pentagon on 9/11. Actually, my county is where the anthrax attacks occurred. I have run departments of emergency management at the local level. I also went to work for the Department of Homeland Security and spent almost a decade there. I was at my final position, I was the Undersecretary for Science and Technology at Homeland Security. In that role, I was the science advisor for the Secretary, and had a lot of interactions with not only the Secretary of Homeland Security, but other secretaries and Vice President Biden and President Obama at the time. So I have a mix of both federal experience and local experience. My PhD is from Virginia Tech, and I was an adjunct at Georgetown. So I have a mix of both academic background as well as professional experience, and that's not unique to me. Most of the faculty, a lot of the faculty have deep roots in both the professional fields and in addition to the academic fields. And for those that may not have come up through the professional fields like I did, they have amazing, the faculty have amazing networks into the different governmental functions.
Also, another question, how is the college and major in emergency preparedness, homeland security, and cybersecurity different from institutions that may offer those majors individually in different departments?
So I'm frankly philosophically opposed to creating a standalone department that separates and silos emergency preparedness, homeland, and cyber. I think it creates a false dichotomy in the sense that it's impossible to think about homeland security without understanding the basic premise of emergency preparedness. And if you're ignorant of or uninformed of both the threats of cybersecurity and how all of the critical infrastructures operate, and everything is operating in the cyber realm, that frankly, it's not as robust a program. What's really interesting about this program is that it actually allows you to kind of figure out where your sweet spot is. So the fact that we introduce you to all three elements, and we have the data science element that comes with it, sort of gives you a chance to grow. I mean, a lot of times you're thinking about the university and what you want to major in, but that may change. And one of the things that I think makes the program really interesting and flexible is that you can change both within CEHC, or you can partner with some of the other schools or programs on campus. You saw from our student presenters that they are actually working on dual degrees. So you may come and you may find that you're really interested in education, or you're really interested in public health, and those are just two examples of sort of the natural nexus between CEHC and other schools. We see a lot of our students are taking the core EHC classes, but they're also part of the criminal justice school. So that's part of the richness of our program, is that it allows you to be really flexible, and frankly, as you grow as a student and a person, that allows you to make changes in your academic career that doesn't set you back in time.
We have one more sitting in the queue from Ryan Cannon. And it looks like it was just answered.
All right.
So you can keep adding those. There was one other question that had come up earlier. Can you tell us about tell about some of the positions that adjunct instructors do in their professional lives?
I'm sorry. Yes, absolutely. Our adjunct professors come from both government and private sector. You have adjunct professors who are leading policy experts for the state in emergency preparedness. They are working in the cybersecurity industry. They're working in the makerspace, innovative entrepreneurial area. They're working in the data sciences. Frankly, our adjuncts are, what's wonderful about our adjuncts is our adjuncts are coming because they want to teach. They have full-time jobs. They're incredibly busy people, but they are committed to this idea of building this next generation of leadership, which is one of the themes that the governor was really pushing when he created this college, is how do we create that next generation of leadership? And that's where our adjuncts come in. And what I find really fascinating is their ability to come in and take a concept with you and then say, and this is how it's applied in real life. So for instance, we have a faculty member who teaches in the cybersecurity and informatics area who has decades of experience in the federal government, at the highest levels of federal government, working on things like emergency communications spectrum and with the Department of Justice. We have active members of law enforcement that are teaching you. We have folks who have retired from governmental and federal service who are going to come to you again with decades of experience that they're using as a way of both shaping your thinking about what occurs in the field, but also how to learn the theories. We have adjuncts who are every day involved in the whole entrepreneurial world of developing new and emerging technologies. We have adjuncts that are involved in the drone industry. So it really crosses a really broad path. The other element, which I think is really important, and I didn't mention, is that our adjunct faculty is linked with our research and professors of practice. So when we have faculty meetings and we have faculty retreats, we also include the adjuncts. So our adjuncts are as important as to us as anybody, and they're a really integral part of our family.
Thank you. And unless more come in, we just have two more. One is, Dean Griffin, can you talk about the focus on cybersecurity within the college?
Yeah, I mean, the cybersecurity program is one of our larger programs. And obviously it's one of those areas that will continue to grow as far as jobs and importance. One of the things that we're currently working on and will be available to you, we're standing up a standalone bachelor's degree in cybersecurity, and that's going to be a more technical degree, and that complements our cybersecurity degree on the EHC side of the house, which also gets you into the policy and regulatory issues. What I was remiss in mentioning is that some of the people that we have, some of the faculty we have right now are folks that work in national labs. We have faculty teaching that are part of the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory who are on the cutting edge of cyber. And one of sort of to differentiate between the two, the BS in cyber obviously is going to be more technical. On the EHC side of the house with cyber, really what we're looking to try to do is be able to start to translate what cyber means to policymakers. One of the big areas that we're going to be a leading college in is the issue of behavioral cyber. But equally important, it addresses a concern that has come out of the federal cyber family about cybersecurity experts who, frankly, are so technical that they don't understand or can't translate the technical aspects of cyber into the policy realm. What we really want you to be able to do is to do both. So you understand both the technical aspects, but you can translate what the secondary and tertiary effects are of a potential cyber attack. Because the policymakers are having a really difficult time understanding the truly technical nature. And a lot of the programs are so technical that they're not able to make that translation. So the cyber area is, again, it's going to be a growing area, and there's going to be additional programs coming on at both the bachelor's level and the master's level.
And then last question, as we're coming up on time, is simply what type of internships have students received and been a part of in this program throughout their years?
You know, our internships run the gamut. Sort of breaking down, particularly in the EHC side of the house, but experiential learning is critical to all of our students. We're looking for you to have to go out into the field and use the skills that we're teaching you. What that does is that gives you the ability to come back and say, well, professor, you said this, but what I'm seeing is this, and it gives us an opportunity to continue to teach and educate you as a sort of supportive of your internship. So we see internships in the federal government, and in fact, I had to do a multiple reference checks for a couple of students who are looking to be placed in the FBI's internship program at the state level, particularly with the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Services. We have students who are involved in research, and they're working closely with our faculty on some of their really interesting research areas. Things like our Center for Advanced Red Teaming. Some of the cooler trainings that we do training on behalf of TSA, and our students actually work with TSA in order to test the security systems at airports, which is super cool because what they try to do is they try to see if they can bring things through the security systems, and this is all done with TSA. Okay, so none of our students go out and do this on their own. This is part of that learning process. We're seeing a lot of growth in the private sector as far as emergency preparedness, and honestly, after this whole COVID situation, the issue of business continuity and operations and emergency planning is going to be essential for every business to be thinking about. And then I talked a lot about our industry partners that are out there. So there's a huge gamut. Personally, again, this is something I'm completely committed to. I really think it's critical for you to come out of your your college career, not only being able to articulate a really great work ethic and academic prowess, but also be able to articulate the real skills that will make you different from your peers in other institutions. So we want you to be able to go out and say, you know, not only did I do really well in academia, but I know how to work. I know how to work in the field. I understand the systems that you're working on, because that's gonna make you a leading candidate, and that's what we want to do. We want you to take this degree and go out and be incredibly successful. I mean, so successful that you can actually buy the name of the school, so we can name it after you rather than the really long name that we have right now. So I believe that I am out of time. I want to thank you and your families for jumping on with us today, and I'm going to echo what our faculty and students have said. We're a family, and there's always more room in our family for like-minded, and we hope that you decide to be part of our family and that we see you in the fall. So I'm going to sign off with this, and be safe. And if you have any more questions, or if there's anything we can do to answer those questions, please let us know. That's what we're here for. So thank you very much, and I'm going to stop there.